He's here. Everyone turned their attention in the direction Theodore was looking. What they saw was a white figure jumping down from the top floor of the Alliance headquarters. As light as a feather, the figure moved with the wind. He's here. Sir Reeds is here. A commotion broke out in the arena as the crowd watched the figure descend from the sky. Ronald Reeds had finally made his appearance. Under the watchful eyes of many, a white-clad Ronald arrived with his hands behind his back. His clothes swayed with the wind, and his steps were graceful. He looked like a higher being making his descent, carrying himself mysteriously and charismatically. He didn't have an imposing air or an overbearing presence. Still, nobody dared look him straight in the eye as he commanded utmost respect. At that moment, Ronald was like the brightest light, illuminating the earth and dispelling the darkness. It inspired genuine awe in the hearts of those who beheld him. Sir Reeds, congratulations on coming out of seclusion. Quincy was the first to stand up and greet Ronald respectfully. Sir Reeds, congratulations on coming out of seclusion. The martial arts members behind him all stood up and greeted him in sync. Their voices echoed loudly like thunder across the arena. It spurred all the other martial artists present to stand up and show their respect. It was an honor the Alliance leader, who was also the strongest martial artist in Balerno, deserved. It seems like he has improved again. Emery frowned slightly, his expression turning solemn. He had intended to use Dustin to challenge Ronald's authority. But now, it seemed like the plan wouldn't work any longer. If his guess was correct, Ronald was only a half step away from becoming an ultimate grandmaster. It would only take him less than 3 months to make that breakthrough. He would truly become a formidable force, soaring to new heights. By then, he would absolutely be unstoppable. In the end, Emery realized that he was still 1 step behind. Sir Reeds has made his appearance. Things are getting interesting now. A young grandmaster challenging the leader of the Martial Arts Alliance. This duel would undoubtedly go down in martial world history. This would be an interesting fight to watch if it were another 2 years. But the disparity in their skills is just too wide. The crowd broke out into a discussion as they took in Ronald's figure. Ronald's might was known to all, and his status in the marital world was unshakable. Although Dustin was highly skilled, he was still far behind Ronald. Sir Reeds, it's been years since we last met. How have you been? Woody stood up to greet him. Oh, I didn't expect you to be here, Sir Bolts. Nice to meet you. Ronald smiled and nodded slightly. Sir Reeds, it seems like someone is seeking death today. Openly challenging your authority like that. You mustn't go easy on him, Theodore said meaningfully. He was filled with hatred for Dustin, who had sliced off his arm during the battle in the Black Forest. Thank you for the advice, Sir Crane. I know what to do. Ronald nodded stoically before turning his attention to Dustin. He said calmly, Dustin, I admire your courage to challenge me to a duel. But your actions are foolish. I'm giving you a chance. Admit defeat right now, and I might consider letting you go for your actions. Ronald Reeds, you might let me go for my actions, but I will never for yours. Dustin looked up slowly. His tone was frosty when he declared, You wear a mask of righteousness but are wicked to the core. You are unworthy of holding the position of the Martial Arts Alliance leader. Today, I demand justice on behalf of Sir Paul, Mr. Robinson, and all the false accusations I have endured. At that moment, silence engulfed the entire arena. The crowd of martial artists exchanged glances. They couldn't understand what was happening. What did he say? Wasn't he challenging the leader of the Alliance for power and position? Wasn't he doing it to make a name for himself? Why did it sound like he was here to seek revenge? Was there a conflict between them? How dare you openly insult our leader? It's simply unforgivable. Quincy yelled as he rose angrily from his seat. The members of the Alliance were also clamoring indignantly. Ronald was the face of the Alliance. Naturally, no one could tolerate it when their leader was being slandered. That's enough, everyone calm down. Ronald raised his hand to silence the noise. Remaining unfazed, he continued, Dustin, justice is clear. I have always acted honorably. Do you think a few accusations can tarnish my reputation? Accusations? Dustin snorted. You betrayed and killed your master. You're worse than an animal. A hypocrite like you who pretends to be virtuous deserves to be condemned by everyone. How dare you? Ronald's expression darkened. He snarled, Dustin Reese, I won't hold it against you since you're still young. But if you spout any more nonsense, don't blame me for taking action against you. Trying to scare me. Ronald Reeds, do you think I am here to joke around with you? Dustin raised his voice, saying loudly, listen up. This duel shall not only determine who is stronger but also decide our life and death. Dustin's statement started a frenzy throughout the arena. What? A fight to the death? Is he crazy? Did I hear him correctly? Is he challenging Sir Reeds to a deadly duel? He's truly overestimating himself. His courage is commendable if he's here just for a challenge. But he's a complete idiot if he's here for a deadly duel. Dustin's bold declaration created a huge reaction among the martial artists present. Challenging the leader of the Martial Arts Alliance to a duel was already a bold move. But now, he was demanding a fight to the death. It was complete madness on his part. Dustin is being too impulsive. Why must he risk his life when things are going well? Lin was anxious. A deadly duel only had one possible outcome. It was an outcome where one person died while the other survived. Surrender was not an option. If they didn't harbor a deep grudge for each other, they would never have suggested such an extreme course of action. Why did it turn out like this? Why must he bet his life for reputation and personal gain? Josie frowned, appearing worried. Challenging the alliance leader would still have been an honorable act even if he were defeated. No one would have criticized him for it. But the circumstances were different now, as defeat meant a certain death. This brat just pushed himself to a dead end. Lance sneered, feeling happy. Idiot. Toddy shook his head with a disdainful expression. Young people are so foolish. Staking everything against the leader of the alliance is a suicidal move. Woody scoffed. He saw Dustin as someone who didn't hesitate to take risks to gain temporary fame. People like him would find it hard to achieve greatness, no matter how talented they were. Interesting. How interesting. You are dying for sure. Theodore grinned wickedly, almost letting out a cheer. You're digging your own grave. Quincy smiled slyly. It was as if he was looking at a fool. One must either be crazy or stupid to risk one's life against the alliance's leader. Great. Absolutely great. Ronald walked up to the battle ring. With a sneer, he said, since you want a deadly duel, let me fulfill your wish. With a wave, he ordered, get someone to bring a waiver over. Today's battle will not only determine our strengths. It will also determine our life and death. Upon Ronald's command, a waiver was brought forth. Both he and Dustin signed their names on it without a word. A duel in the arena had always been a grave affair of life and death. However, unless there was a deep-seated enmity, the victor would normally show mercy. That was the unspoken code of conduct. However, by signing the waiver, that unspoken code would become void. There would be no room for mercy and no option for surrender. All that lay ahead was a ruthless battle for survival. It was either live or die. No third alternative existed. Dustin, this is the most foolish thing you've done in your entire life. After signing the contract, Ronald's entire demeanor shifted. Instead of his previous grace, he now exuded an imposing might. A tremendous force seemed to emanate from him, enveloping the entire arena. Following that, the martial artists in the audience felt a sudden heaviness. It was as if an invisible boulder was pressing down on their shoulders. Even their breathing grew rapid. The weaker martial artists found themselves panting heavily and covered in sweat. What a frightening Grandmaster's presence. Is this the real power of the Alliance's leader?